Good evening, welcome to The Spotlight. My name is Levi Kones. So glad to have you here and watching us tonight. Tonight we want to talk a bit differently from what we normally discuss here on The Spotlight. And we want to talk about the taxes and the impact of the 8% VAT tax that is affecting you and that is being talked about in many households. And joining me tonight is a gentleman who is a financial analyst. He's from the PSM Financial Services. His name is Marubu Munyaka. Karibu sana.
Asante sana, Levi.
Glad to have you here.
Nice to be with you again.
Yes. This debate about taxes has been ongoing for quite a long time now. And many people, experts or non-experts, are talking about it, from the experts on TV shows to the non-experts, maybe in matatus, in places of business, in places of entertainment. People are talking about it. Just as a starter, when this tax was put at 16% and then now brought to 8%, what's your general feeling about it as a financial analyst?
Well, my initial reaction is that the VAT is being imposed on us, Kenyans, by the pressure from IMF because of facility that they've given us, type of facility, to support our forex reserves.
Yes.
And although it was introduced way back that in 2013, and it was postponed to up to now, nevertheless, we need to look at the implication of the economy because I believe that there are other ways that could have been used by the government, to raise revenue, to avert VAT, which is going to cause inflation in the economy. If I was asked in 2013, I'd have said you still have the VAT on,
yes,
but you apportion it over a period of 10 years, at the rate of 2% per year. If we introduce it in 2013 at 2%, falling at 2%, continue that, we would have been able to actually absorb that tax without any pain. The problem we're having now as a country is trying to introduce 16% at one go.
A jump.
A jump. That's what causes a shock in the economy, because when people plan their businesses, when people plan their way of living, they plan for a period of 1 year or 2 years. When you come and apply a tax overnight, that was not planned for. It causes chaos in the business circle and also in the household, livelihood. That's the problem we have. And the second is, I mentioned earlier on, is that if I go back to IMF, where they put pressure on us, we have not used the reserves that that we have. We could adequate reserves. We have not utilized the facility of IMF so far, because our forex cover is about 6 months. So far as a country, we are doing quite well. But nevertheless, we got projects as a country that must be done. We want to have the railway completed. We want to have the laptops for the students, for the primary schools and secondary schools. We need to have health facilities in the country. We are putting up a huge expenditure by of salaries to the members of parliament.
So there's no way we are dodging it. It's necessary.
There's no way we are going to avoid these taxes. And again, we cannot say that we are going to stop railway halfway before it gets to Kampala or get to Kisumu, because we don't do that. That will not be able to generate the revenue that we plan to be able to pay itself. So the government could have avoided VAT, but the minimum we could have done basically is to rationalize some of the costs. But then that would be painful experience, painful rationalization, because to me that we got without some of the projects that we needed as a country.
Right. Let me ask, so there are those who are not so well versed with the financial jargon.
Yeah.
And people ask, how did we get here into that pressure point with the IMF? Well,
that's what I mentioned earlier on. When the country was down and we did not have adequate foreign exchange reserve to cover our imports, and our shilling was tumbling, particularly after the last elections, 2013 elections, and again the last election, we needed to have a cushion to stabilize our currency before it started getting good, inflows of foreign currency from our, from remittances from our Kenyans who are living abroad, and from export of coffee and tea. At that time, we remember that coffee prices had been tumbling, and so was the tea prices. So that had an effect on the economy. And therefore, we had to go to IMF to come to try to give us backup support, standby facility, to caution us against any shock that could have come and affect the shilling. Because like I mentioned the last time I was here, one of the first objectives of the Central Bank Act is to have what they call price stability. And therefore, that standard facility from IMF was meant to stabilize our foreign exchange prices. But since it was introduced, Kenya government has not drawn on their facility. But then one of the conditions of the facility was that we must generate more taxes because our borrowing has expanded very fast. Our debt has been growing. We need to create more incomes to cushion, to reduce our debt burden. For example, if you look at our debt to the GDP at the moment, it's about 57%. So you need to reduce that to a manageable level. Not that it's big, because you look at some countries like Japan, the debt, the total debt to the GDP is about 290%. If you look at America, it's about 105%. So for Kenya, 57% is not anything big. So long as the GDP is growing, that percent does not really matter. And I also mentioned that the last time I was here. What matters most, if the debt is growing and the GDP is not growing, then you have a problem.
But when the debt is growing, the GDP is growing, does it balance out at some point?
The balance out, at the end of the day, balance it out. What you cannot do again is to keep on expanding debt all the time. What the government needs to look at other avenues of also raising, capital for development. We need to look at other things instead of borrowing debts. The government should be able to encourage private-public partnerships, the PPPs,
yes,
where the government does not have to go giving guarantees. That's what you have to look at. The other thing to look at is to encourage private sector to borrow money from financial markets to infuse the development of this economy. There are some areas that can be developed by the private sector. And you can remember very well, I think I mentioned the last time I was here, if you look at the railway line from the state of Nashville in America, Nashville, Tennessee, to Washington, D.C., was developed by private sector, by Mr. Vanderbilt. He gave out the money, lent money to the government, but he actually put his own money without having to get the government to borrow from outside. And therefore, you put it on what you call, on PPP, or what you call BOT, or the BOOT, build, own, and transfer, or build, operate, and transfer. Private sector is able now to develop the project, develop the roads, collect revenue for a period of 25 years or 50 years. After that, they had what the government.
And that's a good idea,
yes,
because we are hearing the talk about PPPs so much right now.
Yes.
The president went to China, came back and said most of the discussions there were not on loans, were on actually those private-public partnerships.
Yes.
Now, we have a lot of experts in government.
Yes.
Why has it taken us so long to get to a point where we can go the PPP way?
I think the biggest problem we have been having basically is because of bureaucracy, where the PPP, policy and what you call the legal regulatory framework on PPP took a long time. Although it came out way back in 2014, they've been in place, but implementation has been a major problem. And if that bureaucracy can be sorted out, we got many people are willing to put money in this country on PPP. For example, you have heard about the Americans wanting to develop the road from Nairobi to Mombasa.
Yes. But
the only problem we have is that it's too expensive.
The cost is almost 1 billion
per kilometer. 1 billion shillings per kilometer as opposed to 80 million shillings per kilometer. That's the problem we have. If they can bring it at a reasonable price that everybody knows, the cost that is known by everybody, we have no problem with that. And not only Americans, Kenya can also, say, doesn't want to go to America or go to China. There are other countries like Malaysia, private sector. They are willing to finance, to put in money in this country to develop infrastructural development, housing, roads, schools. Everybody need to put money here. Healthcare sector. Dubai here, Middle East. People are willing to give money. I can raise $20 million tomorrow for any project that is required by the government here. We can bring that money through commercial banks in this country. You don't have to get the government involved in giving out, what you call bilateral borrowings or multilateral borrowing. You don't have to go that way. And you know that countries that are well developed, that much more developed, don't borrow from the World Bank or IMF. They borrow from the financial market. That's I think again, I even said the last time I was being interviewed in the same place.
Yes.
And the countries that are in transit, in development, they borrow from private sector wing or the World Bank, that IFC. But here country is now borrowing money from IDA, IBRD. The country is going backwards. That's what the problem we have. A country like Japan, The last time it borrowed from World Bank, IMF, was 1960. You have not had America or Britain borrowing money from World Bank, IMF, because they're very developed. It's the private sector that raises money. You got mutual funds. You got the financial market available here, venture capital funds. Those are what we need to really look at.
But you think we are choked with too much red tape?
We got too much red tape, and we are not letting the private sector take its own position. We have not developed the infrastructure in this country that it's business. We have come up with policies, directives, very good policies in place, but it comes now to have institutional framework to assist the private sector to be able to take advantage of the policy guidelines. You're not doing that. And I'll give an example. We want to get youth and the women to business. Yes, a very good policy. We have created youth fund, and we have created Wezo fund, yes, and the women and youth fund. But this money is not being utilized for, for getting into, what you call, what you call tenders, creating entrepreneurs, and support to put the people into productive investment. And I mentioned the last time I was here, we got infrastructure already in place in this country that is already operating. We got Kenya National Trade Corporation, KNTC, that placed Kenyans into business after independence. It is still in existence. And what we need to do basically is to get to KNTC, the Women Fund, the Weather Fund, the Youth Fund. You have that money nationalized. Part of that nationalized rule that is still very much because KNTC got branches all over the country. And the people want to be put in business all over there. You're from Muranga, you're coming from Nakuru, wherever you come from, Kisumu. They can, all they need to do is just know, get your materials, whether it's going to be computers or bicycles or whatever you want to do. Because those other days you are doing sugar and the maize, the bicycle. But these days you got young people who are doing, information technology products. Let KNDC be national services to be able to accommodate our people in the business, the whole country. The entire country, not only people in Nairobi here, the entire country across everywhere.
Good point.
And I have not finished on that. On the area of industrialization, because we must create industrialists. In order to establish new institutions, we got Kenya industrial estates that has got branches in most of the centers in this country. Where now with the county government, you can also have KIE having centers in a class of counties. And then those sheds now can be used now to put our people into business, to be able to produce, to create small industries, those sheds. And we got management of Kenya industrial estate to be able to manage those operators as well to ensure that projects are running properly and they're able to pay their roles without any problems.
I hear you. Yeah. We'll take a quick break on that note. You're watching The Spotlight. Don't go away. We'll be right back after these messages.